Today, today, let's discuss why the MJ to Anthony Edwards comparison is the worst modern basketball comparison. It might be the worst comparison of all time. It's lazy. It's given. I'm gonna tell y'all what it's truly given. It's given that uncle, like, and I'm talking about the fan base. I love Mike, right? And I'm working on myself, y'all. So I'm truly challenging myself to love all people, right? But I love y'all, MJ fans, like the MJ fanatics. I love y'all as people, but as sports fan, I hate your guts. If I see you when you need something, you need $1, you need to pick me up. You pick up an Instacart order for me. I'm gonna tip you well. I'm gonna treat you great as a human. As a sports fan, I want to proverbially push you down 20 flights of sports steps and watch all your bones just crackle, snap, crackle, and pop. Oh my goodness. Because here's what happened. Here's what y'all sound like. Let me give you some perspective. Now you know I love you as a person. Let me give you some perspective of what you sound like, MJ Fanatic. You sound like the uncle who's drunk, who won 4 state championships in a row back in 74, right? When y'all were still playing, when football was rough and rugged and this, that, and the third. And in reality, you rushed for 87 yards a game in a wing T formation, right? And your nephew is out here getting 240 all-purpose yards a game, 5-star recruit, 5.0 GPA honors class, and you like, well, back in my days. That's what the MJ fans sound like. I'm gonna say this on behalf of every fan of the game who enjoys watching the game. MJ already made his money. You not getting a piece of it, right? You're not. You're not getting a piece of it. So let people enjoy basketball without always having to bring him up. This Anthony Edwards comparison is the worst I've ever seen. And we're gonna get into the basketball piece of it now, right? Like let these kids enjoy and start creating their own memories. Like teach history, yes, but don't keep throwing it in people's faces like y'all not even OGing right. Y'all not even y'all have more people hating on Jordan than anything because every time somebody good comes along, every time somebody looks good, I watched it for 20 years with LeBron James. Oh, is he the next Jordan? Is he? Well, he can't be the next Jordan. He plays nothing like Jordan. He played nothing like Jordan. He was Carl Malone size, playing like Magic Johnson, and can jump like Mike. Jump higher than Mike. That's a whole nother story, right? But let's get to Anthony Edwards, bro. Plays nothing like MJ. First off, he came in this season weighing 240. MJ that never weighed 240 playing unless he's with the Wizards and that beer start kicking in and that cigar. He couldn't get that cigar and beer off of him like he could back in his Chicago days, right? He never came in weighing 240, bro. There's a power element to Ant's game that MJ didn't have because they have two different type of builds, right? Just because he's dark skinned, has a nice smile, wears a hoop earring, and occasionally does a back to the basket, right? Their shot selection is totally different. Anthony Edwards is not a gunner. The NBA is set up differently now. We're probably not going to see many more gunners in the league, especially playing at a championship level. Why? Because now there are too many people in the league, right? Like when you look at a team like Minnesota, we saw Anthony Edwards shoot 15 shots in a game. And it wasn't because, oh, he's just not aggressive. He ain't got that dog in him. They're sending double teams. They're sending triple teams. They're sending all types of defenses that would have been illegal in Jordan's day. Don't just take my word for it. Go and watch, right? They're literally playing what would have been considered illegal defense, like zoning. Like, hey, yeah, I know I see this man over here on the wing, but we want to shut Anthony Edwards down. So we're not going to officially double team. We're just going to shade all the way over here, and then the other person, right? We're going to shade from the baseline all the way over here. We got Joker in the middle. Like, watch the game. Watch the game. That would have been considered illegal defense right there. So instead of Jordan fans seeing that with your belly hanging out, right, while you watch the game eating chicken tenders with your ranch, instead of you watching for details like that, and you look at, oh, he only shot 550, he ain't got no doggy. Mike would have went out on his sword. No, that the defense was illegal. So guess what, Mike? Guess what Mike saw all game in his day. And to his credit, because he was such a supernova, he was so much better than everybody else, he took advantage of it. He saw either a clear one-on-one, right? A clear one-on-one, or guess what else he saw? A clear double team because you had to commit. So look, with somebody with supreme IQ like Mike, okay, I gotta attack this man. I gotta get him my move quick. I got him one-on-one, or the double team is coming. Boom, let me kick it. There's no in between. There was no in between then. So guess what that's going to lead to? 25, 30, 37, 35 shots a game. You see what I'm saying? But nowadays, you have to be more judicious because there's no illegal defense. So number one, Ant is not a chucker. Number two, Ant is 240. When he does his shimmy move, it's to clear space and get people off him. He makes contact with the shoulder. Bam. Watch next time you watch him. Bam. That's a power element to his game. When he turns over his shoulder, bam, watch his defender go back. There's a power element to his game. They look totally different when they jump. Mike is graceful, jumping off of 2 feet, glides in the air. Ant is more powerful, more explosive. Therefore, he's getting off the ground quicker, right? Ant is faster than Jordan. Literally, he's faster. He plays like a guy who played running back before, and that's exactly what he did. If you go back and look at his history, right, as a child athlete, he was one of the top youth running backs in the nation, and then switched to basketball. He plays and he cuts like that. The way he cuts on drives looks more like a running back hitting a hole. It looks more like a Dwayne Wade than it does a Michael Jordan. If you want to find somebody who actually kind of looks like the player who looks like Michael Jordan the most in this era, it's actually Jalen Green. He's super athletic, fast, gangly. He has more of that long stride to his game like Michael has. Like if Mike played in today's game, I could see him being more Jalen Green than Anthony Edwards, because Anthony has a power element to his game. Anthony honestly plays more like D Wade, right? He plays more like D Wade, except guess what? He's a more willing shooter than D Wade and Michael Jordan. That's number 3, 240, right? Power element. Number 3 is he's a willing 3-point shooter. He's pulling up on the break. He's not hesitating at all. Mike even says he didn't work on his 3-point game because he didn't want it to take away from his driving. Everybody always starts talking for Mike, right? Everybody always starts talking for, well, if he was into that, if he didn't, he said, I chose not to work on my game. So even he would tell you, anything that you choose not to work on, you're not going to be a master of. It was his choice to not work on his game. I'm on his 3-point game, right? It was a choice to not work on that part of his game. Excuse me. So now you take that same energy, stop taking away from Ant, who clearly has worked on his game. You see what I'm saying? He's clearly worked on his 3-point game since entering the league. And he has to be more judicious because guess what? Unlike Jordan, he's going to do what? He's going to get less shot attempts and he has more places to shoot it from. You see, so there's even a different thought process. There's a different psyche. The reason why we refuse to see another 20 years of y'all trying to compare somebody to Michael Jordan is because when he doesn't go 9 for 27, when he doesn't go 8 for 32, when he doesn't shoot his team out the game and say, oh, man, y'all gonna say, oh, he should have been more aggressive. He got that dog in. Oh, I guess he's not like Jordan after all. Oh, we were wrong. We got excited. We crowned him too quick. Nobody wants to hear that, bro. Nobody wants to hear that. And I'm going to tell you something else that y'all really don't want to hear, but it's true. Guess what? Mike is no longer the eye test for the 2-guard position. I'm going to say it again. Michael Jordan is no longer the eye test for the 2-guard position, right? Now let's do some history. I will give him this credit. He set the bar extremely high. He's the new bar. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. See, Here's what happens. I always tell people Michael Jordan is the godfather of this era. So look, he was everybody's GOAT, everybody's number one. So he also has the most sports documentaries that we get to hear his psyche. He's number one. He's a killer. He'll do this. He'll do that. He'll yada, yada, yada. Okay, so now we have all those kids who are watching that. Think about this. When did we really start seeing a crazy influx of talent as far as guards in the NBA? The late 90s, the mid-late 90s, that 96 class, right? So when Jordan came out, I'm talking about Jordan got in the league at 80, 84, and he was killing. And then 88, when he became the guy, like, oh, this is next up. He's next up. He's the NBA's cash cow. Those kids who were drafted in 96, a lot of them were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. So now they're watching this new guy, Michael Jordan. He ain't friends with these dudes. He's a superstar. It ain't Larry and Magic. It ain't no friendly rivalry. He don't like people. He crushing everything. He the best player out. So now you have youth players seeing that. So now we get the Iversons coming in. Killer mentality. I'm not scared of you. It wasn't. See, Mike came in the league. They said it. When everybody was doing coke, everybody was having hookers. People were just glad to be making money. The NBA was glad to be off a tape delay. He came and took it to another level. So he's the first. He's the first ballless life guy for real. He's the first ballless life guy for real. So now you got to let the trickle down happen. And this is what I like about you old school people, right? And I'm going to bring this all the way around. You go like, dang, I never thought of it that way, Kurt. Yeah, I have just been in my feelings. God, oh, nephew, thank you. Thank you for saying that. But these kids are seeing Mike, right? And they're growing up and they're adopting that mentality. I'm fearless. I'm scared of no one. This, that, and the third. Like, so guess what? By the time he gets to by the time he gets to the league in 96, what happens with Iverson? What does Mike say? Like, no, this little muff crossed me up. He wasn't scared. What does he say about Kobe? Oh man, he wasn't scared. You don't think that's a, yes, Mike, they watched you. They're not scared. They have your mentality. They want to cut your head off. So it pisses me off is when we see great players today and people say, well, oh, LeBron doesn't have the fear factor. He doesn't put the fear factor of people that Mike did. No, because now we have a whole few generations of hoopers who's growing up looking at Mike and saying, I want to be the one that make people scared, and I'm not scared of anybody. That's why you have people who look you dead in your face, knowing that LeBron James is a better basketball player than them, and go, I ain't scared of LeBron. I ain't scared of man, he did it. Because they grew up watching Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and I salute him for that. A lot of the energy before he became him, was, oh yeah, we'll fight, we'll punch on the court, but it's like, this isn't life or death to us on the court. Mike came in with that energy like, Mike might kill one of y'all over this game. The killer mentality. You see Kobe with it. You see all these people with it, right? But also, he had some rules that helped him. Illegal defense is going to help him. When you have somebody that great and you cannot play a zone on them, you can't play it. So your man just got to get cooked. And then this is not the era of positional versatility. So you got your two guard out there just getting slow roasted, air fried, souffle, pad thai, like just getting 50 dropped on their neck all game, or else you got a double team, and then he gonna kick it. Had the best shooters, literally. Steve Kerr, Craig Hodges, BJ Armstrong had the best shooters out there. Come on, man. Playing with 2'6'9", 6'10" point forward, Scotty and Tony Kukoc, who could make the game easier for him. Come on, man. What do you think was going to happen? I just need some of y'all to put that in perspective, bro. That's all. For the old school people, I just need some of y'all to put that in perspective. So we're not going to sit through another 20 years of you going, oh, well, such a, like, Mike, oh, he ain't no killer. Bro, ain't none of these kids scared of somebody else because they all watch Mike. All of them are trying to kill one another now. Nobody's going to go in here in the game and go, yeah, man, he's just so much better than me, man. He just took away my will to win. Nobody's going to say that. That's what you get when you get Mike as the godfather of this era in the NBA, because he was such a He was a global draw. All right. He was a global draw. But if you're looking for somebody who moves like Mike, Jalen Green is your man. Right? Just look, the whole little slippery game, jumping out the gym, like fast twitch, all of that stuff, Jalen Green. Power game, Anthony Edwards, right? Anthony plays like a modern D Wade who's a more willing shooter. The Michael Jordan comparisons are extra. Y'all are annoying. Mike does not need your help in keeping him relevant. He's a legend who's going to live forever. He does not need you sucking your teeth and entering yourself into basketball discussions to defend him and to constantly bring him up. I promise you, whatever island he's on, he's okay. He's probably somewhere at a NASCAR race, right? Watching his car go 200 miles per hour. He is all right. His shoes are going to keep selling. He is going to be great. He does not need you to insert his name every time somebody looks nice at the guard or the wing position now, since we're in positionless basketball. Every time you see a wing that's between 6'4" and 6'8", Mike ain't sending you no check, bro. He's not sending you the check, right? To go ahead and defend his legacy. It doesn't need defending. You are not the guardian of the galaxies, bro. You ain't Groot. You know what I'm saying? You ain't Drax. You're none of them. Relax. Go clock back in to work. Stop getting yourself worked up. Allow this new generation to have their stars, to have something of their own, and stop taking your insecurities because your hairline ain't where it was in the 90s, right? Your hairline ain't where it was in the 90s. Your weight ain't where it was in the 90s. Your little black book ain't where it was in the 90s, right? And you're taking all those things and you're trying to bring them back and you're disguising it as Michael Jordan basketball talk. If you want to talk about anything outside of that, let's go, right? And I'm surprised y'all don't notice this because why is nobody coming in? Look, why is nobody talking about Larry or Magic? We've allowed people to come in and say, "Oh, Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time." People don't get in as up in arms about Magic. Don't get as up in arms about Larry. People calling, Luka, baby bird. People saying if Jokic wins this title, he's going to pass Larry Bird. Nobody says anything about that. But you know why y'all so up in arms about Mike and you haven't even put these two together? Mike's ascension also Mike's ascension also coincides with the timeline that ESPN decided to expand and go global. Do y'all think that's a coincidence? I'm gonna say it again for you. It's a reason why you are programmed to talk about Michael Jordan so much. Michael Jordan's ascension in the early 90s coincides with ESPN's expansion, their global expansion. When they say, hey, we're going to have a dedicated staff, right, for every sport to talk about every day when it's that sports time. So guess what? That was the first time a lot of you fans who were at impressionable ages, and that's the thing. A lot of y'all, it's not the OGs who were grown in the 90s. It's the people who were teens or kids in the 90s. It's always y'all. The OGs who say, look, the OGs, I'm talking about 60 plus, who like, yo, I seen Dr. J, I seen Magic, I seen Mike, I seen all of these guys as a grown-up. Yes, there are players who were better than Michael Jordan. They say that. When Oscar Robertson said it, look, people want to call him, oh, Oscar hated it. Oscar hated it. He always hated on Mike. You see what I'm saying? When Isaiah Thomas said it, I got a winning record against dude. Like, yeah. When he said it, oh, man, he a hater, bro. Man, Isaiah always been a hater. You know what when people say this, when y'all OGs said, y'all dismiss it as hate. Oh, man, them old timers, this, that, and the third. But yet, here you are at 12 years old, digesting the game at 12 years old, thinking that you know more about it than everybody else because you saw it with your own eyes. You 15, 16, 17 years old. Think about if a 17-year-old came to you right now talking about how much they know. You'd be like, shut up. Shut up. So why are you not surprised when people are telling you the same thing? Shut up. You had homework to do. You were impressionable. You were hyped up off Gatorades. Bro, you know nothing. You were looking at the game strictly as a googly-eyed fan. No analyzing the game, no breaking down film, no nothing. And for some of you so-called hoopers, you pure hoopers, some of y'all have the worst sports IQ there is. Only thing you were good at was putting the ball in the basket. You see what I'm saying? So when you hear people talking about the game from a more strategic, a more analytic standpoint, it's like you just start throwing out names. You just start calling people names. I mean, you glazing, bro. You good. You this, you that. Because okay. I get it. I get it. Right? You never really learn how to process the game. You never know what to really look at. You never realize how much illegal defense can help a coach strategize, especially when you have the best player in the planet named Michael Jordan, and you know there's certain things that they can't do to stop him. You never looked at that, right? You look at it and you go, oh, I want to play like that because I want to be like Mike, which also, right? So when you have all these people, and I just look at y'all like they don't get it. They are talking. They defend Mike so much because that's when ESPN started to expand, and they had dedicated staff to talk about the NBA every day. Before that, what was it? Right? Basketball night in America. Basketball night in America. So we're gonna talk about basketball for this one night. This was when all the other legends were playing. But now with the extension of Mike, right, and the expansion of ESPN, they're talking about basketball every day. He's the biggest draw. So you're hearing more about one guy every day, right? And y'all still don't get it as I'm saying it. You've been programmed for this. It is not an original thought. It's not I saw it with my own eyes. You saw this more than everything else. That's why we hear all of these this mythological stories that people are just now saying, like, it wasn't all of that, bro. It wasn't all of that. Like, yes, he was good. Oh, he just took people's will to win. Man, look, let me tell you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, and I hate to do this, right? Santa Claus could still be real in your mind. Look, Mike was great. Top 3 all time, for sure. Right? The way that God designed life, the way that life is designed, period, right? He wasn't meant to just be the standard, the creme de la creme for all time, right? In every other sport, there's a greatest until somebody eclipses them. It just happens. All right. So, yes, there was a time he was number one, right? That time has passed. It is okay. Mike has the greatest. He'll always be the most iconic athlete of all time. He has the greatest career arc of all time. I don't think anybody will ever come and win 6 rings, lose 0, win 6 finals MVPs. There's too much competition in the league. And guess what? Nobody has 7-year contracts anymore. Oh yeah, yeah. You didn't know about that, right? Nobody has 7-year contract extensions anymore where they have to stay locked in for 7 years and just watch the same team win and win and win. This is no longer the expansion era anymore, where you have 6 new teams added between 88 to 98. And I can't believe how y'all don't see how that dilutes the league. Because when you go from, when you just went from tape delay last decade, right, to now in 88, we have this guy and we're expanding the league, right? Number one, the NBA talent pool wasn't ready for expansion. You already had a lot of bad teams. Go look at the teams in the 90s, right? You already had a lot of teams that didn't have superpower, that didn't have any star power, excuse me, right? Then you decide to expand the league. You add more teams. So rather than those teams that were already bad getting better, they're now splitting talent with expansion teams, right? So you have great top heavy teams at the top who are like super powerful, like the Bulls. You have all you go look at all of that for you historian lovers. And then you have bad teams that are coming in. So imagine people like Glenn Rice, right? Imagine people like KG. Imagine people like Penny. Imagine people like Shaq come in and getting added to these teams that already have a certain level of chemistry and camaraderie instead of getting added to expansion teams. Because that was just some of the talent that was added to an expansion team. Kobe was plucked from Charlotte, another expansion team, and sent to LA. You see what I'm saying? And look how that turned out. Look how that ended up turning out. But imagine these teams, right? Just like the Thunder. The Thunder a couple years ago, what were in the play in, eighth seed, 10th seed, all that stuff, right? And now this year they're the number one seed. What happened? They were able to add Chet Holmgren, right? They're able to add Chet Holmgren to a foundation that was already built. So now it takes it over the top. You add these supernova players like Shaq, like a KG, to expansion teams, teams that are less than 10 years in the business, right? That are brand spanking new. Now, look what happens. You have a league that was already not the best with talent, and you've diluted it even further. So, yeah, we'll never see 6-0 again in the finals because you're never going to have a period of 10 years where we're adding 90 new roster slots to the NBA without the talent pool getting better, and we're filling those. Like now, today's game is actually more suited for expansion because, look, if you do the math, 50% of the players in the NBA who are active in the NBA have spent time in the G League now. So now we're at a place where there aren't enough roster spots for all the talent. You have guys who should still be in the league doing podcasts, guys who have played in conference finals, people who have real playoff experience, starting point guards, starting forwards, top 5 picks, former number 1 picks, who could still go right now doing podcasts because there are not enough spots in the league. Why? Because I got to salute Adam Silver for this, right? Regardless of how we feel about the game getting softer, the less contact, and all of that stuff. He's done the math. Yo, football is going to be king in America. So you know what? Let's go to soccer route. Let's be second in the world to soccer because football is going to be number 1 in America. Let's go to soccer route. So look, you have NBA Europe, NBA Africa. You have all of these NBA training grounds, these breeding grounds for talent, where they're literally taking professional talent, professional coaches, send them over there, professional developers to develop the talent over there, right? Invest over there, then get them ready to come and play into the game today. And they've taken a lot of physicality out the game so that they can come and make a smoother transition. So now your talent pool expands. You provide more ways for people to get to the league who maybe didn't have the grades. You have your G League teams. You see what I'm saying? You can go to the G League Ignite. You come in, you like people who going overseas. Like we have 5-star players who are going over and playing in the NBL. You know what I'm saying? Like all of those things are happening in real time because Adam Silver has consciously made the investment to grow the talent pool. So if expansion were to happen now, it would make a lot more sense because the talent pool is bigger. The expansion happening in '88 because David Stern saw, oh, we got one. We got one. Yeah, we have the best. We have the best athlete in the world, the biggest draw in the world. So let's put this in more markets because now there's more domestic interest growing, right? The problem that a lot of Jordan fans have is that you're Saudi. Just admit it. You're Saudi that the focal point of the NBA is no longer on growing this domestic fan base. The focal point of the NBA is going global. But your man, Jordan, is what brought on the globalization of the NBA. So you should be happy because that's what he was there for. That's what he was there for. That's what he was on the dream team for. To go around and show, oh my God, it's Michael Jordan. Oh God, my God, Jordan. That's what he was there for. So you should be happy. All right. So now, well, we'll never see that. We'll never see nobody win. I'm glad you were here for that little history lesson. We'll never see nobody win six like that, bro. 2, 3 peats. Because we're never going to see 6 new teams get added, 90 new roster spots open, and we're no longer going to see bad teams go to worse teams, right? Bad teams become worse because they can't get the influx of top draft picks, new talent, because they're splitting that with expansion teams. We won't see that again. We won't see that again. So some of these things, and here's the reason why I don't want to see Anthony Edwards compared to Michael Jordan, because he could go out there and the eye test could be totally different. I mean, did you see the dunk that he did on John Collins? Jordan has nothing like that in his career. Nothing like that in his career. And don't try to make up something to be like, oh, well, remember the dunk he did on Patrick Ewing? Anthony Edwards he looked like a freaking jetpack and then slammed it with the force of a freak. Nothing like that. Jordan has never did anything like that, right? In his career. So you will see that with your own eyes and try to convince yourself, oh, well. And you just start moving goalposts. And then if he doesn't win 6 titles, well, he didn't win 6 titles. Michael won 6 and on the final. Bro, now we have a much larger talent pool, a much deeper talent pool. And we don't have 7-year contracts to keep guys locked in on the same team, losing over and over and over. We have player mobility. You see what I'm saying? So that's not happening. That's not happening anymore, right? So we've seen LeBron James score 40K. Oh, he wasn't the scorer, the killer that Mike was. But he wasn't the huh? What? So let's stop the Mike comparisons, man. Look, we get it. Your hairline ain't where it was. It happens to the best of us, bro. I got a nice little hairline under here. Don't get it twisted. But your hairline ain't what it was. You want to get your weight back down. You're no longer in your glory days. Yo MTV Raps no longer comes on, right? Everything is dead. The culture is dead. The this, that, and the whatever. It's dead, man. It ain't the same, man. Okay, well, go read a newspaper, bro. Go read a newspaper, right? Go get you a rocking chair and start telling kids, get off my lawn. You see what I'm saying? Just go do that. But don't come in here bringing that, don't smack your teeth and bringing that energy into the environment where people just really want to enjoy good basketball. You always bringing up the past, bro. Mike's legacy is protected. He don't need you to protect it, all right? Let's get it. Now, remember, I love you as a person, but as a sports fan, I want to slap you upside the back of your neck. I want to slap you so hard in your neck that like you feel it in your lower back. Only as a sports fan, I want your ears to ring. I slap you so hard. But as a person, I love you and I will always love you. All right. But some of y'all like nostalgic sports fans, if it's not for you, just leave the premises. Leave the premises. All right. And allow these new kids, allow this new era to have their own legends. Right. Allow them that. Give them that space because that's what the 70s and the 80s did. They gave you the space to say Mike is the best. Wilt was trying to tell y'all, bro, do this and that to Mike and this and that and this and this and that, and y'all called Wilt a hater, right? Mike would have set the bench back in my days because of all that little he wouldn't have been able to come in here. They had to change the rules. They had to change the rules for me, and they had to change the rules for me so I wouldn't dominate. They changed the rules for him so that he would dominate. I would have put him on his butt. I would have did this, that, and the third. Wilt said this, right? As the person who scored 100 points in the game, right? He said this, and y'all called him a hater, right? Mike had less titles at the time. Like Mike had less points, at the time. All of that stuff. I saw y'all call Mike the GOAT when he had 3 rings after his first retirement on ESPN. Go check it out. Go check it out. That's why I say y'all been programmed to believe what y'all believe, right? When Mike retired after 3 rings, the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, just announced his retirement. Magic still had 5. Kareem still has 6 with 6 MVPs, over 38,000 points. Y'all called Mike the GOAT when he had 3 rings. Why? Because he started playing in a way that you've never seen before. So, guess what? These kids who have access to better technology, better training, they're playing more basketball, and they also have the physical build to do the things. They're going to start playing in ways that you've never seen before, and we're already seeing it. You've never seen Mike jump like Anthony Edwards. You never see Mike catch bodies like what Anthony Edwards did to John Collins or that boy a few years back. You've never seen Mike go through somebody like that. Ever. So don't start trying to deduce it back to what you're used to. Them little long arm straight in the air dunks. No, not just cocking it back here now. Jumping off 2 feet from right inside the freaking free throw. You've never seen that before. So allow yourself to see something that you've never seen before the same way you did when Mike came along. Even though Kareem had 38,000 points, 6 MVPs, 6 rings, y'all still called Mike the GOAT on ESPN with 3 rings, the greatest player ever. You still had legends showing him love. Magic and Larry, all the stories. They showed that man love, right? So now, let this new age, let this new generation have their legends, and they'll show love to the OGs. Let them show the love. We do not need you knocking them. We do not just say, here go 6-0 in the finals. Ain't nobody doing no 6-0 in the finals no more, dog. This is not the expansion era. Nobody's doing 6-0 in the finals. You have kids right now who are doing the drills that Steph Curry did, right? That Steph Curry does in the NBA right now. You have kids who are doing Steph Curry warm-up drills at 7 years old because they have access to his game and they can see it. You have kids, those same kids will actually grow up and go to the Steph Curry Select 30 camp and learn from him directly. You have NBA players in the league right now who have went to the CP3 All-Star camp, and CP3 is on Team Jordan. You see what I'm saying? So when the homies was back in the days in the 80s talk about how much they know ball, throwing the ball off the backboard and they Chuck Taylor's playing outside. They didn't get the same level of training as these kids now, but that's what happens with more exposure and as the league grows. All right. So let the game grow, let the game evolve. Stop trying to deduce it back to what it was back in the day because the era meant more to you because of the age that you were. You were more impressionable back then. It isn't that times are worse or the game is worse or that is worse. You were just more impressionable back then and you were easy to impress. You are older now, health problems, your back hurts, you got to work in the morning. It's 27 emails waiting on you. You got a conference at 12. You already grumpy. You know what I'm saying? You're already grumpy, bro. So don't mess this up for other people bringing that nasty spirit in and talking about what was and no, stop it. All right. I love you as a person, though. Don't forget that. Let's get it.